Nicole.
Nicole, apportez-moi mes pantoufles et me donnez mon bonnet de nuit. C'est de la prose. Oui, monsieur.
Montaigne's idea of the printed word, he said, gives you the feeling of everything you write is a message in a bottle. You scribble it down here and you throw it out there.
Now, one of the schizoid things, and I think this just bears out, that schizophrenia is something that's quite proper to a print culture.
It is inevitable. The eye and the ear just are totally divorced.
Yeah.
And everything you hear is at variance with everything that you see.
Yeah.
Joyce said about Finnegan's Wake, what the reader sees and what the reader hears, two totally different things. So for example, why not use example?
245 on there is a slight number just anywhere, 245.
Joyce said about Finnegan's Wake, what the reader sees and what the reader hears, two totally different things.
And the cognitive and affective domains are separated.
Print culture is inevitable.
Feelings are crapped on, you know.
And then a print culture is inevitably hypocritical. What it says and what it does has to be different.
Yeah.
Is this in some way related to the fact that the psychiatrists have mainly dealt with...
Walt Disney, by the way, was a Canadian.
Civilized person. Freud is an urban, literate man.
He is a complete victim of classified. We still live under the aegis of Freud's classifications of personality types and.
The point is, we've had a Marxist rumor and we've had a Freudian rumor. I mean, we've had people who are conversant with Marx without ever having read Marx, and people who really understand.
This was his idea, because up to that time, when he was writing, there was no public. There was literally no public in Montaigne's time. It was just beginning to form with print. But
well, that was the time when entertainment was all over.
Yeah, the stage.
Overnight, they moved into a new economic universe. Type. With a price system that was stable.
A mass product, the book.
And uniform. But based on books. Then they tried to extend that principle to other commodities as much as possible. So that mass production was really, came out of the paradigm or the matrix of the printing press.
Godless. Usually when I'm in the rest of the country, I'm the only godless one, and then I don't feel like an asshole.
Whereas today, with the advent of a software electric environment,
all of these things, it seems to me, profoundly relate to the rosary and to the church and the mystical body.
I'm doing a book called The Second God.
Yeah, is there any relation to the first one?
Is he the political sex pistol?
And went on to TV and talked straight to his people on an educational basis. He turned politics into education. This is the crime that Trudeau's been accused of by Peter Newman of the Star. You see, the electricity puts your nervous system outside as an environment.
I had like 5 seconds to raise your hand.
Well, again, we might disagree on open and close, you see, because I call the ear closed and the eye open. But some people turn it around the other way. It doesn't matter. As long as they're both there, that's what matters.
Yeah. The God who made a clock-like universe and wound it up and started going, he withdrew, he left, he died a long time ago.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
That is the God that is dead. That is the only one that is being observed. The Newtonian universe.
I've taken children's recordings and shown that their concept of media is identical with their concept of God.
Look, now that's very important. I have one of my basic things lately has been the discovery that when you're on the telephone or on the air, you don't have a physical body.
Yeah.
When you don't have a physical body, you don't have an identity.
Going back to the pastoral. With the advent of the book, the church became a book religion. Whereas today, with the advent of a software electric environment, the church is beginning to mistake the new electric environment for the mystical body itself. Now, I think what we're saying here is that there's a desperate human need to understand these processes, and a great need to avoid value judgments until we understand them. We don't have a clue as to who to blame for anything.
really. The act of placing the blame is itself escapism. Value judgments in these matters are pure escapism.
I'm perfectly capable of moralizing.
They serve that function of taking us off the hook.
Entertainment was all oral.
Yeah. And because up to that time, when he was writing, there was no public. There was literally no public in Montaigne's time. It was just beginning to form with print. There was literally no public in Montaigne's time. There was literally no public in Montaigne's time. Gives you the feeling of everything you write is a message in a bottle. It was just beginning to form with print. But
well, that was the time when entertainment was all oral.
Oral tradition emphasized memory and training. We have no history of conversation or of the oral tradition except as they are revealed darkly through the written or the printed word. The drama reflected the power of the oral tradition, but its flowering for only a short period in Greece and in England and illustrates its difficulties. The oral tradition soon phased itself out. Minerva's Owl is the opening essay, and that, means it's Hegel's phrase that the owl of Minerva takes its flight at twilight.
Oh, yeah.
When things are just about over, then wisdom is born. So, this is right off, it's a bias of communication.
What about the symphonic internet? They made the meaning stuff? Is that the meaning?
Something like a nightclub scene.
Yeah, it could be, it could suggest something very dark and glamorous, something could suggest a very...
nightclub scene.
Yeah, it could be a nightclub scene. I mean, how did you ever miss such a thing? You had a deep, husky voice, give you a mic, and you probably could make all sorts of sounds.
What was that sound? Yeah, the stage.
The mystical body itself is pretending
and 100 years later, there's a big public for the printed word.
That they're merging themselves in this new electric environment as if it were the mystical body.
Yeah, I'm doing a book called The Second God.
Yeah, is there any relation to the first one?
Well, you see, I say the first God created man, and he's been trying to make man moral ever since. And man created the second God, and he's trying to make that moral.
And 100 years later, there's a big public for the printed word.
By the way, I have one of my basic things lately has been the discovery that when you're on the telephone or on the air, you don't have a physical body.
Yeah.
When you don't have a physical body, you don't have an identity. When you don't have an identity, you don't have any morals.
This is a wonderful example of our irrelevance, the NASA.
And that's when Monsieur Jourdain comes up with his famous remark about talking prose.
They're of utter bane to all understanding of the human psyche. There's a phrase of Joyce which ends it all. Young and easily frightened. The whole team was highly literate without knowing it, and imposed a batch of categories upon psychic life which are terrifying only to the young and who are easily frightened.
Well, it's the same thing in any place. It's this whole insight into the fact that this was a hidden environment, this habit of thought.
The mind, remember, works much faster than electricity. The speed of light is very slow compared to the speed of thought. Literally. The speed of light is not a fraction of the speed of thought. So the possibilities, therefore, of controlling our technologies are considerable if we choose to study them. The mind, remember, works much faster than electricity.
Eric Goldman on the program The Open Mind.
The speed of light is very slow compared to the speed of thought.
Professor McLuhan said that you don't discover...
Literally. The speed of light is not a fraction of the speed of thought.
The kids, the awful struggle is the real pressure cooker situation. Well, it's the same thing in any place. It's this whole insight into the fact that this was a hidden environment, this habit of thought.
Whence did the wondrous mystic art arise of painting speech and speaking to the eyes, that we by tracing magic lines are taught how to embody and to color thought?
Well, it's the same thing in any place. It's this whole insight into the fact that this was a hidden environment, this habit of thought.
Writing did not merely record language, it was a totally new medium of expression and communication which the spoken word came in turn to imitate.
What you're recording there is not prose, you see.
Which I've never seen except for that scene. Scene.
I heard what you were...
Well, the first movies. The first movies put on the old opera and the old music hall, the old forms of entertainment. The Chaplins, you see, came off the music hall and the Buster Keatons.
With Woody Allen.
Come over here a second.
Oh, I heard what you were saying. I heard what you were reading, and you have completely misconstrued everything I've said. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong.
With Woody Allen. So you haven't said anything about him.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen him in action. I haven't been to a movie of his.
Oh, wow. You like him. If you like Chaplin, you like Allen.
Must go.
What about this TV season? This is fun. What do you think is interesting about the new TV season?
I haven't had too much time, but I have been watching a bit of the Invisible Man. I've seen 2 episodes. They're pretty good. But there are lots of new ones on, like the Beacon Hill.
You don't think that's terrific. You like the upstairs downstairs.
Well, I've only seen 2 episodes of Beacon Hill.
To which the electric age brings us back so rapidly. Finn again, only this time wide awake. Fun for all.
And the title itself is one of these rubbings of cliches together. Finn, the Finn cycle, the Finn again, and Finnegan, Michael Finnegan. The world of Jung and Freud is the world of the unconscious. Now, in tribal society, there is no unconscious. It's only the visual man, the highly literate man, who carefully stuffs things into his unconscious. The tribal man has everything up in his consciousness. The old song about he had whiskers on his chin again, long came the wind and blew them in again, poor Michael Finnegan, begin again. Now,
fun for all, funeral. Fun for all at Finnegan's wake, pop cults and high cults. Finnegan's wake, pop cults and high cults. Finnegan's wake, pop cults and high cults.
This reminds me of the scene in Annie Hall.
Reading, and you have completely misconstrued everything I've said. And I agree with, if I had said that, I would agree with you.
Always has, always will. That's the meaning of the word. Garb age is clothing. When you put new clothing around anybody, look at me.
And you call it mass age. Massage, you call message mess age. And I can't fucking see shit. Google was initially called back rub. So there's your connection. Accidentally called medium is the massage, a play on his own thing, just like Google 10 to the power of 100.
We had the slightest consciousness. We would teach our children in our schools how to protect themselves against media fallout and advertising fallout.